We are just around the corner, mere hours away from the early access release, and less than a week for the official release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It feels just like Christmas Eve, and we're all sitting awake watching videos on the new game we asked for Christmas, shaking our presents wondering what character we're gonna play. But in this video, we are going to be going over the developer Q&A that Rocksteady did this last Friday, January 26th. They discussed a bunch of stuff like how the story episodes will work, how leaderboards are going to work, how the battle pass functions, and more info on how the loot's going to work, and just so much more. And we're going to go over all of it in this video. This is going to be a long one. This will probably be my last video before the game actually releases. After this video, my next one will be when we're all elbow deep inside the game, sitting there, being little gremlins in our room, avoiding sunlight and eating junk food. I did also want to ask though, what kind of content would you guys be interested in me making for the game? Are you more interested in guides and how-to videos, farming spots, tips and tricks, build guides? Let me know what kind of videos you would like to see in the comments down below. But also the last few weeks of covering the game have been incredible, and I just wanted to say a quick thank you. But if you're just here for the Q&A info, then I'll leave a timestamp on screen of when to skip to. But for those of you who stay, I just wanted to say how thankful I am for all the love and support you've all shown me on each of these videos. I have received countless comments of support and compliments, and they mean the world to me. I'm still a smaller channel, but with your hype and support, we can grow as a community. Just from these few videos that I've posted on Suicide Squad, I've already gained over 400 new subscribers, and those 4 previous videos got a combined total of like 37,400 views, which is just incredible, and I am forever grateful that you're all helping my dream become a reality. So thank you very much for making this an amazing community and showing me all of the love and hype that you guys have been. And speaking of community, by the way, I do stream on Twitch as well, so if you want to come hang out over there, we'll be streaming the game as soon as the early access version is ready. Plus, I do have a community Discord channel you guys can all join as well. It's where my Twitch and YouTube audience come together to hang out, share memes, talk about technology, drool over food, and if you're looking for people to play with, that'd be a great place to look. And like I said, I've made 4 other videos on this game as well, and I will leave a link to the playlist of those videos that I've made so far in the top right hand corner as well if you want to still learn more about the game before the official release on February 2nd. I've got you covered. But now that we've all reconvened the people who skipped ahead, welcome back by the way, let's jump into the news from the Q&A. We've got a ton to go over in this video. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a long video. We've got a lot. So the first question we're going to highlight asks, what can we expect in terms of new main missions or side missions from Seasons? Which is a very important question to most players who just want to play it like a single player game. And they said that they will continue to tell a story through cutscenes for new characters, as well as they will be adding new content for them in places like the Hall of Justice and certain audio logs you can listen to as well, to have more lore on them for those of you who want even more. So it sounds like any new episode or new seasons that add new characters will have their own set of cutscenes involving those new characters and how they interact with the squad. So I'd imagine there will be a scene or two, or a moment or something between Harley and the Joker in Season 1. That kind of stuff. And then another very important question for the single-player solo crowd is, can we play the endgame solo? Is it possible to play the endgame solo? I know this one will be very important to a lot of players out there. In every looter shooter, there are the lone wolves, and Rocksteady is doing right by those lone wolves because they did confirm that all the content and missions in the game can be played solo or in a group. And if you do play solo in the game, you will still have the other members of Task Force X there, but they will be controlled by AI, so you're never truly by yourself. But one of the coolest things that they mentioned about those AI companions while solo is that they will use the gear that you give them, which is just huge. That's awesome. Because if you've played any other looter shooters in the past, like Borderlands for example, you've likely encountered the crappy feeling of getting a loot drop, screaming with glee and disbelief, and running over to it, and it's not for your class. This removes that whole scenario and heartbreak, so now if you find any piece of loot ever for any class, it can still be useful to you. And they also mentioned that the AI will benefit from those talents and squad skills that you choose as well. This is giving like RPG vibes, like those kind of RPG games where you can deck out your party members and stuff like that. Plus, they mentioned the feature we talked about in a previous video called Social Squad, where you can replace the AI companions with anyone, whether they be someone from your friends list, the top leaderboard person, or your favorite content creator, or even someone from the same clan as you. You can add their character to the squad that you're in, complete with all of their gear, and I presume all of their stats and talent trees and things like that as well. And they briefly snuck in a detail about the Mayhem mission as well, saying that it culminates in an epic boss fight, but that is also soloable, which is just fantastic news for all of our single Pringles who are still trying to mingle. This next question is a big one because it deals with the loot of the game, which is one of the biggest aspects of a looter shooter. It has 50% ownage. The question is, how much loot/build progression will be RNG based, and will we have to farm a bunch to find the perfect rolls for items? They had mentioned that all loot in the game can have random amounts of augments on them. Augments are basically additional stats on the items. As seen here with this notorious weapon, the augments would be the blue and purple stats right there. The colors, of course, representing the rarity of the augments themselves. So there's 3 rarities for augments, or the power levels to each augment. The levels are uncommon, rare, and epic. But on top of that, the rarity of the item itself determines how many augments can even roll onto the item. So to make it easy to understand, they said that uncommon items can have 1 augment, a rare item can have 1 to 2 augments, epic items can have 1 to 3, and legendary, notorious, and infamy sets can all have 2 to 3 augments per item. But like we said, each augment individually can roll a different rarity. So you can find a green rarity gun and it could have a purple rarity augment on it. Or the other way around, you can find a purple gun with a green augment. But they also said that they don't want it to get frustrating to farm for the best gear due to the augment, so they have Penguin's overhaul mechanic, Toyman's modification, Totes, and Eluding mechanics, all focused on augments but offering different functions than each other. Penguin's overhauling lets you reroll all of the augments at once randomly. Toyman's modify system lets you roll any specific augment on an item and gives you the option to pick a new augment out of 3 random choices. The only downside is that if you reroll an uncommon augment, you are then locked into only being able to get other uncommon augments in return. Then Toyman's Totes mechanic lets you reroll a specific augment, but this time you can choose from a specific list of possible augments, so it's not random. And then you also can pick the permutations of that augment as well. And then finally we have Eluding. They said that Eluding an item was super expensive but insanely powerful as well, because you can reroll all of the augments on your items, not just the first one that you pick. But they also mentioned a firearm upgrade mechanic that lets you level up your weapons the more that you use them. So when the guns level up, you earn points that you can then spend on 5 different categories of weapon attributes like accuracy, stability, zoom, reload speed, and magazine size. And each category can be upgraded 3 times. And the maximum number of levels a weapon can be upgraded is determined by the rarity of the item. So for example, legendary items can get to level 15, which lets you put 3 points into each weapon attribute category, maxing out all of them. The only rarities that don't have this mechanic are notorious items and infamy sets, because they're basically powerful enough, they said. The firearm upgrade mechanic is just like the one we had in Borderlands 1, but on steroids, where the more you use a weapon, the more proficient you get with that weapon, and I love to see this kind of stuff. And then the final feature they mentioned was supercharging your items to upgrade how long the afflictions will last. So if you want to use ice for longer, supercharging can be a way to make sure that your ice build lasts the longest. And as we all know, stamina is key for having a good time. This next question is also important as it pertains to the endgame missions and quests. They did confirm that Finite Crisis is the name of the current endgame for the launch of the game and will be changing with each season, it seems like. But in Finite Crisis, there will be certain missions like Ivy's Garden Party, where there's plants that will burst out different afflictions like ice, and you take advantage of the new gameplay mechanics for free. And they mentioned another type of mission that I don't think has been mentioned or shown previously before, but it's called Skull Ship Jammin'. Those missions have you facing enemies, and then there are bonus criteria that you have to achieve, like headshots or suicide strike kills that can help you charge up the beacon that you're charging up faster. And then when they mentioned about post-launch content, they said that each mission will have 6 incursion missions, 6 stronghold missions, new killing time themes, and a whole new mayhem mission, which makes me think that these mayhem missions might be our raids in the game. If there's only one in the launch of the game, and they will be adding a new one each episode, maybe they're smaller raid-like boss encounters? Like, what are your thoughts about the mayhem missions? Do you think they're raids? Then the next question asked is if we can replay the campaign, to which they said absolutely, you can replay the whole campaign or just jump back to a specific mission if you want to. They also mentioned that their version of New Game Plus is called Metropolis Invasion Levels, where once you beat the campaign, you will unlock 5 additional difficulty levels that go above the typical hard mode. And to unlock each new difficulty tier, you have to beat each one in order to get to the highest difficulty level. This sounds insane, and I cannot wait to run through the story with my beefed up boomerang and feel like I'm playing Doom Eternal on Nightmare. And naturally, as the difficulty increases, the loot also gets better as well. And they even hinted at some unique legendaries and master versions of items locked behind some of these invasion levels, which gives you even more content for you to explore and run back through. But then we got the question basically asking how clans work and what are the benefits of being a part of one. And they said that each clan has their own leaderboard, and when you beat someone's score on the leaderboard, you can send them the rival taunt that we talked about in the previous video. And they also mentioned how if you're in a clan and playing alone, your AI squad members will be replaced with members from your clan, which sounds pretty cool as long as you can then replace them with anyone else you want to have instead. And like we also saw in the previous video, each clan will get daily and weekly challenges to complete for clan XP that can then level up the clan. And each member can have a specific rank in the clan as well that will also increase the more active someone is for contributing to the challenges. And as your clan ranks up, you unlock more rewards for all of the clan members, ranging from cosmetics like unique clan banners to XP bonuses and resource bonuses as well. And like I have said before, I'll be making my own clan that you are all welcome to join when the game launches. I'll be posting the name of the clan as soon as I make it, but let me know what you think we should name the clan in the comments down below. And then another pretty important question is about whether or not we can join our friends midway through a playthrough, which of course the answer is yes, you can join your friends basically at any time during the campaign. There's apparently very few activities where the party is locked, like the Elseworld missions. They just don't want people to skip to the end for the loot. But the coolest feature that they mentioned is that if you join someone who is further in the story than you can play with them and make progress, but then when you go back to your game and get to the part where you joined your friend, it will give you the option to skip the part that you've already played, or to play it again. So if your friend is at the start of Chapter 3 and you just started Chapter 2, you can go through Chapter 3 with them, but when you go back to your own story, it will recognize you've already completed certain parts of the game and will give you the option to skip them. That's just awesome that they thought about that, and I'm loving that. But then someone asked how online matchmaking will work, and they said the game is of course able to switch between private lobbies open to friends or public lobbies like most games, but the coolest thing is that if you are on console and want to play offline and solo, you won't even need Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus to play the game. They support fully offline play as well, which is fantastic. I know a lot of people want that. And then when you set your game to public, they have different matchmaking themes so you can find people trying to accomplish the same goal as you. So for example, if you're trying to unlock more mastery levels, you can select the bracket you're currently in, and it will find people in that same bracket. And if you reach the end of that certain mastery level bracket, you unlock new matchmaking options that let you find people who are grinding for those higher tiers you're now in. So you can search for people doing specific types of content. But then, someone asked if the competitive aspect of the game was significant or if there was any rewards for being a top player on the leaderboard. And in their response, they mentioned how when you get the highest score in a mission, you can become the squad leader and pick the next mission, which is going to be hilariously devious, by the way. But they also mentioned the global leaderboards for solo players, 2 players, 3 players, and 4 player squads as well. And apparently if you place on the leaderboard, your entire loadout, gear, and cosmetics are put on display. But where things get slightly more interesting is how they handle leaderboards during seasons. They said that each episode they release will bring out a new leaderboard, and when the new episode comes out, the current leaderboard is locked and anybody who made a spot on the leaderboard gets rewards based on the ranking they got. And once the leaderboard is locked, they save it forever and we can always go back and look at the previous leaderboards to see where we placed. And since you can go back and replay older episodes of story, when an episode ends, the first leaderboard is saved and then they switch over to what is called the dynamic leaderboard, which is a persistent leaderboard tracking everything forever, which is fantastic for those hyper competitive players who want to always be competing for the highest scores or whatever. Do you remember in my last video when I said this? And assuming the game follows like a normal season cycle for games, which is about 3 months per season, each episode might take about 6-ish weeks for them to actually release them, unless they decide to drop both of the episodes as soon as the season goes live, but I kinda doubt they'll do that. I don't think so. And then I said this, and the theme of each area seems to be designed around the playable character they will be adding in that season, or at least season 1 is. Yeah, I will take my cookie now, please and thank you. I was exactly right on everything. Each season will last about 3 months, each episode will be about 6 weeks apart, with new playable areas being themed after the new playable characters they will add, which means that we need to start brainstorming who could be the playable character for this 4th season over here. The area is all rustic and old, looks kind of medieval. Use your powerful nerdy brains to help me think of who the playable character is going to be. But someone asked a very important question. If some items will be exclusive to the shop, and will some of them be unlockable through gameplay? And they responded by saying that cosmetics can be unlocked in a number of ways, like the Riddler AR challenges we've seen a bit of gameplay for, or progressing through the story. So for anybody out there still holding out hope that you get the Justice League items through the story, there's still hope. And then of course they are unlocked through the Battle Pass as well, and purchasable from the store. Plus there will be little trinkets you can unlock or buy as well, like voice lines, pins, and dolls. And then they talked about the amount of UI that we'll be able to customize in the game, and that they have plans for adding more options in Episode 1 of Season 1, but here's the current list of changeable UI toggles, which is a great start for sure. And then here's the list of the new ones they'll be working on adding in Episode 1 and beyond, which is amazing as well, and eventually we'll be able to get to a point where you can have that minimalist UI look just like we had in the Arkham games. And then we got someone else asking what an episode is supposed to be exactly from a design standpoint, and they responded by saying episodes are unique themes even if they're in the same season. And in each episode, Brainiac will be changing up our builds or changing up his enemies to be stronger, so each episode might be a giant meta-shifting patch in addition to giving us a bit of story and changing up enemies and gear. They are what keeps the game as an ever-evolving experience by adding in new infamy sets, notorious items and legendary items, gameplay modifiers, and mutators as well. It will also add new missions across the map and new Elseworld areas, which include the new incursion missions, a mayhem mission, and a new boss encounter. So really, episodes are the meat and potatoes packed within the season itself. And then we probably have the most important question of the Q&A, and also the last question of the Q&A as well, and it deals with the Battle Pass, because we haven't heard anything about it so far. Someone asked how the Battle Pass works, and they said it will be cosmetics only, it won't stunt your game progress or affect gameplay in any way. It will also have both a free track and a premium track you can unlock items on, which is fantastic news. They even said each season will bring the new character, new playable areas, new gear, and missions, all completely free and separate from any monetary costs as well. The Battle Pass is basically a completely optional thing for those who want a sexy Harley skin or something. There will be 75 tiers for you to complete in the Battle Pass, and inside the Battle Pass will be things like outfits, emotes, banners, color swatches, and some premium currency that you can use to either buy cosmetic items in the store, or you can save them up and you can use it on future Battle Passes. And you'll be able to unlock rewards for any previous Battle Pass even if the season has expired. So just like the greatest Battle Passes we've seen in the last few years, if you fully complete one Battle Pass, it should basically give you enough premium currency to get the next one for free. And you're not limited to the most current season's Battle Pass. If you don't want any of those items, you can go back to prior seasons as well, which sounds like the best version of a Battle Pass you could probably have. Like, it's completely ignorable and you can go back to previous seasons and they give you enough premium currency to buy the next one for free basically. So if you hate Battle Passes, don't worry, it won't affect you at all. So what are your thoughts about all of this new info? What stood out as the best piece of news? And how hyped are you for this game? Let me know in the comments down below. By the time I upload this video, we will be very, very close to the launch of the early access version of the game. So keep an eye out on my Twitch and YouTube as well, because I'll be streaming the game whenever it goes live. My Twitch link will be in the description down below, as well as all of my other socials will be down there as well. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out and like the video if you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Later, nerds!
You want a high five?
Up high.